It started with a single notification. Half asleep, I reached for my phone, expecting a random email or a late-night message from work. Instead, her name flashed across the screen. My wife. A message. And a video attachment. I stared at it for a moment, blinking away the drowsiness, trying to piece together why she would send me something in the middle of the night. My stomach twisted as I clicked the play button. At first, I wasn't sure what I was looking at. The angle was shaky, like the camera had been propped up hastily, and the dim lighting made it hard to see. But then, the picture came into focus, and my entire world tilted. There she was, my wife, lying in our bed. Except, she wasn't alone. A man, a stranger, was with her, his arm draped possessively around her waist. They were laughing, mocking. She ran her fingers over his chest, completely at ease, completely comfortable, as if this was normal. As if I was the outsider, the fool who didn't belong. And then, as if this nightmare wasn't enough, her voice rang out, clear and cruel. Hope he enjoys the footage. The video ended. My chest tightened. I looked at the message attached to it. Thought you'd like a bedtime story. Sweet dreams. Winking face. I read it once. Twice. 3 times. My fingers trembled, hovering over the keyboard. I could feel my pulse hammering against my skin, my heart threatening to rip through my ribs. I wanted to smash my phone. To call her. To demand an explanation. To scream. But instead, I just sat there. Silent. Still. Watching. And then I did something that even surprised me. I smiled. Not because I found it funny. Not because I was numb. But because she thought she had won. She thought she had humiliated me, reduced me to a powerless, pathetic fool. She had no idea. She had no idea who she had just betrayed. The silent retaliation begins. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't cry, rage, or drink myself into a stupor. No, I planned. By sunrise, I had already made my first moves. The trap was set. Step 1, financial lockdown. Before she could suspect anything, I started securing my assets. Bank accounts, investments, joint credit cards. She had always relied on me to handle the finances, never caring much about where the money came from, only that it was there when she needed it. That worked in my favor. I withdrew just enough cash to keep her from noticing anything unusual. But behind the scenes, I was moving everything into accounts she would never have access to. Step 2, collecting evidence. That video was just the beginning. I needed more. I checked our home security cameras, something she probably forgot existed. And sure enough, the footage confirmed everything. He had been in my house before. Many times. They were reckless, careless. They had gotten comfortable. I saved every clip, every message, every damning piece of evidence. Step 3, the perfect performance. The hardest part was pretending. That morning, I walked into the kitchen like nothing had happened. She was already there, sipping coffee, scrolling through her phone. She glanced up at me with the fakest smile I had ever seen. Morning, she said casually. Morning? That was it. No guilt. No hesitation. She had sent me a video of her betrayal just hours ago, and now she was sitting there, acting like she hadn't just set fire to our marriage. I nodded, keeping my face neutral. Morning. She smirked, like she was testing me, waiting for a reaction, waiting for me to break. I didn't. Instead, I kissed her cheek. It was disgusting, but necessary. I let her believe I was clueless, that I was still the naive husband she thought she had outsmarted. The longer she believed she was winning, the harder she would fall. Step 4, setting the stage. I needed an excuse to start making changes, something she wouldn't question. So, over the next few weeks, I pretended to be going through some sort of financial crisis. I told her business was slow, that we needed to cut back on expenses. I subtly downgraded things, canceled a few unnecessary subscriptions, downgraded her car insurance, reduced her credit limit. She didn't suspect a thing. Instead, she started spending more. It was almost laughable. She thought she was getting back at me, that she was secretly draining my money while laughing behind my back. She was digging her own grave. Step 5, the ultimate deception. 3 weeks later, I surprised her. I feel like we've been distant lately, I said one evening, feigning guilt. Let's take a trip. Just us. Her eyes widened slightly. A trip? Yeah, I smiled. Something romantic. I want to fix things. I saw it in her expression. Satisfaction. She thought she had broken me, that I was desperate to win her back. She thought she was in control. She had no idea that I had already won. By this point, the house, The assets, everything, it was all in my name. She had no access to our funds, no claim to our property. But she didn't know that. Not yet. The cracks begin to show. The first real shift happened a few days before our trip. She had tried to make a large purchase, a luxury bag or some expensive jewelry. I didn't bother checking. What mattered was that her card got declined. I watched as she furrowed her brows, trying again. Declined. I could feel her confusion. Her panic. I casually sipped my coffee, pretending not to notice as she quickly pulled out her phone, checking our bank app. Her face paled. "What the hell?" she muttered under her breath. I leaned in. "Something wrong." She hesitated, then forced a smile. "No, just a glitch, I think." "A glitch. Cute." She tried another card. Declined. The next day, she tried again. Same result. By the time we were packing for our romantic getaway, I could see it. The first signs of fear creeping into her eyes. She was starting to realize something was off, but it was too late. She had no idea what was coming next. And so, the game continued. She thought she had humiliated me, ruined me. But the truth? I wasn't just getting revenge. I was erasing her. And soon, she would know exactly what it felt like to lose everything. For 3 weeks, I played my role to perfection. I greeted her with kisses in the morning. I held her hand when we went out. I laughed at her jokes. I asked about her day. I even let her think she was manipulating me into spoiling her, buying her little gifts, planning date nights, pretending to rebuild the marriage she had already destroyed. I became the version of myself she had always wanted, a husband desperate to win her back. And she believed it. She believed that I hadn't seen the video, that I had no idea about the late-night calls, the hotel rendezvous, the money she had been siphoning to her lover. She was so confident in her lies, so certain of my ignorance, that it never even crossed her mind that I was setting her up. She had no idea she was walking straight into her own downfall, planting the seed. One evening, after dinner, I sighed heavily and rubbed my forehead as if I was stressed. She glanced up from her phone, raising an eyebrow. "Something wrong?" I hesitated. I feel like we've lost something, you know?" She tilted her head, feigning concern. "What do you mean?" I sighed again, playing my part perfectly. "Us. Our connection. Things haven't been the same, and I hate it. I miss how we used to be." I saw it then, the slight flicker of satisfaction in her eyes. She thought she had won, that she had broken me down so much that I was now begging for the marriage she had already abandoned. She leaned forward, placing a hand on mine. "I know, baby. But these things take time. Maybe we just need a change of scenery, you know? Something to help us reconnect." That was my cue. "What if we took a trip?" I suggested, watching her closely. "Just the two of us. Somewhere nice. We could reset, start fresh." Her face lit up. "A trip?" "Yeah." I forced a hopeful smile. "Something romantic. We could book a luxury resort, have a little getaway. What do you think?" She bit her lip, pretending to consider it, but I already knew her answer. She was thrilled. This was exactly what she wanted, a husband groveling, trying to buy her love back. She probably thought that I was trying to distract her from whatever troubles I thought we had. She had no idea that she was the distraction, securing the evidence. That night, after she had fallen asleep, I got to work. I needed more. More proof. More details. More leverage. She had grown comfortable, reckless even. She barely even bothered hiding things anymore, assuming I was too blind to notice. She left her phone lying around, her laptop unlocked, her emails open. So I helped myself. I found it all. The texts, the emails, the receipts from their expensive hotel stays, the messages she sent him right after we went to bed, laughing at how easy it was to fool me. And then, I found something even better. A bank transfer. $5,000. Sent from our joint account to her lover. My breath hitched, but I quickly steadied myself. She had been funding him. With my money. I clenched my jaw, forcing myself to stay calm. I couldn't afford to slip now. Not when I was so close. I took screenshots. Every text. Every receipt. Every transfer. And then, just for fun, I sent a test deposit from our joint account to see if she'd notice. She didn't. She was so caught up in her own deception that she didn't even check the account before going to sleep. It was too easy. The performance continues. The next day, I surprised her with good news. "Babe, I booked the resort," I announced with fake excitement. She beamed. "Really? Which one?" I named one of the most exclusive 5-star resorts in the country. She practically glowed. I almost laughed. This was her reward for cheating on me. She had no idea. I played the doting husband perfectly, holding her close, whispering sweet words, convincing her that this was our second chance. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, I was making final preparations. I contacted a lawyer to finalize the divorce papers. I reached out to a private investigator to gather more footage. I withdrew the last of my money from our joint account, leaving just enough to make her think she was still in control. And then, I did something cruel. I sent her lover an invitation. Anonymous, of course. Just a casual message that read, "She'll be at the Grand Crest Resort next weekend. You should surprise her." I wondered if he'd actually show up. It didn't really matter. By the time he figured out what was happening, it would already be too late. The cracks began to show. A few days before the trip, things started shifting. It was subtle at first. She started checking our bank app more frequently. She started paying closer attention to our finances, sensing that something was off. She even made an offhand comment one evening. "You've been acting different lately," she said casually over dinner. Like, I don't know, more affectionate. I smiled. "Isn't that a good thing?" She hesitated. "Yeah, of course. Just unexpected." She was starting to doubt me. Good. I needed her to feel that something was wrong, but not wrong enough to stop her from going on the trip. So I did the one thing that would reassure her. I let her win an argument. It was over something small, what movie to watch, I think. Normally, I'd push back, but this time, I let her have her way. She relaxed, smiled, kissed me, and just like that, her suspicions were gone. She still thought she had me wrapped around her finger. She had no idea that in just a few days, she would lose everything. The final touch. The night before we left, I made sure she was asleep before sneaking into my home office. There, I pulled out an envelope. Inside were the divorce papers. Signed. Sealed. Ready. I placed them inside my briefcase, right next to a USB drive. The drive contained everything. The texts, the emails, the videos, all neatly compiled, time-stamped, irrefutable. By tomorrow, her entire world would come crashing down. And the best part? She wouldn't see it coming. I turned off the light and walked back into the bedroom. She stirred slightly as I climbed into bed beside her, her body curling closer to mine. I stared at the ceiling, listening to the sound of her breathing. Tomorrow, she would wake up thinking we were about to go on a luxurious vacation. She had no idea that by the end of the weekend, her life would be in ruins. And I would be the one holding the match. The morning of our trip, I played my role with perfection. I woke up early, made breakfast, and even left a handwritten note on the counter. Excited for our trip. Love you. She ate it up. Hook, line, and sinker. She was so confident, so smug, believing she had manipulated me into being the perfect, devoted husband, a fool desperate to win back his cheating wife. What she didn't know was that her life was about to collapse around her, piece by piece. The first signs of trouble. As we were heading to the airport, I noticed her checking our bank account on her phone. Her brows furrowed. I watched from the corner of my eye as she scrolled through the transaction history, her jaw tightening. "Hey," she said, trying to keep her tone light. "Did you move some money around?" I gave her an innocent look. "Oh yeah, just shifting things around for the trip." She hesitated. "Right. It's just, I thought we had more in the joint account." I shrugged. "We do. Just locked a bit away for savings." She stared at the screen for another few seconds, and I could feel her unease growing. She knew something was off, but she didn't press further. Not yet. She was too focused on getting to the resort, too eager to continue the illusion of our rebuilding marriage. I let her sit with her quiet paranoia. By the time we reached the airport, she was smiling again, forcing herself to believe that nothing was wrong. She had no idea that this was just the beginning. The declined moment. The first Real crack appeared at check-in. We stepped up to the counter, her standing slightly ahead of me, her usual confidence on full display. She handed over her credit card for the baggage fees, flashing her perfect, practiced smile. The receptionist swiped it once, then again, then frowned. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but this card has been declined." Her smile faltered. That's impossible. Try again." The receptionist tried once more. Still declined. I watched her throat bob as she swallowed, her fingers tightening around the counter. "That's weird," she muttered, pulling out another card. "Try this one." Declined. Now, she was visibly panicking. She turned to me with forced laughter. "Ugh, banks are so annoying sometimes." Can you handle this, babe? I smiled warmly. Of course. I handed over my card, one of the few I still had active. It went through instantly. She exhaled in relief, but I saw it. The flicker of fear behind her eyes. She knew something was very, very wrong. But she didn't dare ask me. Not yet. The resort welcome, and the warning. The resort was stunning. A 5-star paradise. She took in the luxury, the wealth, and her confidence returned. But I wasn't done yet. We checked in, and as we were heading to the room, I made an offhand comment. You know, I heard the craziest thing the other day, I said casually. She glanced at me. What? I smiled, pretending to be amused. Apparently, some guy got scammed by his wife. She was funneling money from their joint account to her secret boyfriend. Her entire body tensed. I kept going, pretending not to notice. She thought she was getting away with it, but the guy was smarter. He moved everything out before she could take more. I turned to her. Can you imagine? How would you even recover from that kind of betrayal? Her face was completely blank, her knuckles white as she gripped her purse. Yeah, she croaked. Crazy. I smiled. Right. I let the words sink in as I unlocked the door to our suite. She was unraveling. Her lover's arrival. She spent the next few hours on edge, checking her phone, sneaking glances at me, probably checking the bank app every 5 minutes. And then, just when she thought things couldn't get worse, he arrived. I had made sure of it. I had personally invited her lover to the resort, anonymously, just to see what she would do. And sure enough, as we were lounging by the pool, I saw her freeze. Her eyes widened, darting toward the entrance. I followed her gaze. There he was. The man who had laughed in my bed. The man she had sent money to. Her lover. Walking into the same resort, completely unaware that he was walking into a trap. Her entire body stiffened, and she snapped her head toward me, checking my reaction. I pretended to be oblivious, sipping my drink, scrolling through my phone. She started panicking. I watched as she quickly grabbed her phone, probably texting him a warning. Too late. The confrontation. The moment was perfect. I let her think she had a chance to fix it, to escape this disaster. Then, when she excused herself from the pool, I followed her. I watched as she ducked behind a pillar, phone pressed to her ear. I stepped closer, just enough to hear her. Why the hell are you here? She hissed into the phone. A pause. I don't know. Someone sent me a message saying you were here, and I thought, are you insane? My husband is with me. You have to leave. Now, I smiled. She still thought she could control this. So I stepped into view. Something wrong? I asked, voice calm. Her face drained of color. She turned off her phone so fast she nearly dropped it. And no, she stammered. Just a work call. Work? I tilted my head. On vacation? She swallowed. Yeah, nothing serious. I stepped closer, lowering my voice. You know, I said smoothly. For someone who's on vacation with her husband, you sure seem nervous. She flinched. I leaned in, just enough for her to feel my breath on her skin. You should relax, sweetheart, I whispered. Enjoy the trip. Then I walked away, leaving her standing there, shaking. The panic sets in. That night, I could feel her falling apart. She barely touched her dinner. She barely spoke. Her confidence? Gone. She excused herself early, heading to the bathroom. I waited a few minutes, then quietly checked her phone. She had been searching bank account frozen, how to recover missing funds, and legal rights to shared assets. She knew. She finally understood. Her lover was here. Her money was gone. Her control was slipping. She was trapped. And the best part? I wasn't even done yet. The beginning of the end. As I lay in bed that night, staring at the ceiling, I knew that tomorrow would be the final blow. I had let her think she still had a chance to fix this. Tomorrow, I would take that away. Tomorrow, she would know what it felt like to lose everything. I closed my eyes, listening to the sound of her restless breathing beside me. She couldn't sleep. She was scared. Good. She should be. Because tomorrow, the real punishment begins. She barely slept that night. I could hear her tossing and turning beside me, her breathing uneven, her body tense. Good. The cracks were fully formed now, and it was time to shatter her world completely. By morning, her usual arrogance was gone. Her confidence, that smug little smirk she always carried, had vanished. Instead, she looked exhausted, paranoid. She barely touched her breakfast, glancing at her phone every few minutes, checking her bank app again and again as if the numbers would magically change. I watched her silently. She still thought she had a way out. She still thought she could fix this. But after today, she would finally understand that her life was over. The romantic anniversary party. I had been planning this moment for weeks. A lavish anniversary party, all arranged by me. She had no idea. I let her believe it was her idea. Since we're already here, she had said a few days ago, desperately trying to hold on to control. Why don't we do something special? An intimate dinner? Just us. I had smiled, nodding like the fool she thought I was. Actually, I had said, I already planned something. A surprise. That had been enough to distract her for a while. A romantic party to rekindle our marriage? She ate that up. She thought I was still trying to fix us. She thought she still had me. She had no idea what was coming. A night of smiling faces and hidden knives. By evening, the private dining hall at the resort was filled with guests. Friends. Family. A few of her colleagues. And him. Her lover. Front and center. I had made sure he was personally invited. She saw him the moment we walked in. Her entire body went rigid, her fingers clutching mine a little too tightly. What's wrong? I asked, all fake innocence. She forced a smile. And nothing. Her eyes darted across the room, trying to figure out how the hell he had ended up here. Her lover was just as confused. I watched as his face paled, his hands curling into fists, his gaze flicking from me to her, then back again. Neither of them knew what was happening. And that was exactly what I wanted. I raised my glass. My beautiful wife, I said, voice steady. Tonight is about celebrating us. Our love. Our commitment. She smiled stiffly, barely holding herself together. Her lover was sweating now, shifting in his seat, looking like he wanted to disappear. I turned to my wife. Would you like to say something, sweetheart? She blinked, caught off guard. She hesitated, struggling to think. Her voice trembled slightly as she forced out words. Yes. I just want to say that I love you. And I'm grateful that even after everything, you're still here. The irony of those words almost made me laugh. I nodded, pretending to be moved. And then, it was time. Time for the final, brutal cut. The big reveal. I stepped forward, pulling something from my pocket. A small remote control. I pressed a button, and the entire room went silent. Behind me, on the large projector screen, the video played. The same video she had sent me 3 months ago. The video of her and her lover in our bed. Laughing. Mocking me. Hope he enjoys the footage. I watched the color drain from her face as the words echoed across the room. Gasps filled the space. Chairs scraped against the floor as people shifted, stunned. Her mother covered her mouth in horror. Her father's face turned red with rage. Her boss, seated just a few tables away, slowly turned toward her, his expression unreadable. And her lover? He froze. Eyes wide. Panic clear. Because in that moment, he knew. It was over. She knew it too. She turned to me, shaking. You, her voice cracked. You how? I stepped closer, looking her dead in the eyes. You wanted me to enjoy the footage, right? I whispered. Well, I did. Her hands trembled as she reached out to me, her lips forming words she couldn't speak. She was begging me to stop, begging me to fix this. But I wasn't done yet. The final cut. I pulled out an envelope and tossed it onto the table in front of her. She stared at it. Then, slowly, she picked it up with shaking hands. Her fingers peeled back the flap, and she pulled out the divorce papers. Signed. Sealed. Ready. Tears welled in her eyes. No, she whispered. No, no, no. I smiled, calm and collected. Yes. I turned toward her lover, who was still too stunned to move. Oh, and by the way, I added casually. Your little business account she was funding? Yeah, that's gone. I pulled everything out. His jaw clenched. His hands curled into fists. And then, the cherry on top. I turned to my wife, lowering my voice so only she could hear. And since your name isn't actually on the house deed anymore, you're officially homeless. Her breath hitched. I could see it. The moment she realized she had lost. Everything she had built, gone. Her lover, staring at her like she was nothing more than a liability now. Her family, watching her with pure disappointment. Her job, in jeopardy. And me? I was already walking away. Her world crumbles. I left the party without looking back. Behind me, I could hear it unravel. Her mother's sobs. Her father's angry, hushed words. The whispers, the murmurs, the pity-filled glances. Her lover's footsteps as he stormed out, abandoning her on the spot. And then, the sound I had been waiting for. A choked out, broken sob. She had finally realized it. She wasn't just exposed. She was erased. 47 missed calls. By the time I reached my hotel room, my phone was blowing up. I glanced down. 47 missed calls. All from her. Voicemails. Messages. Begging. Pleading. Please, just talk to me. I made a mistake. I was stupid. I love you. I swear I do. Please don't do this. You can't just leave me like this, please. I stared at the screen, watching the notifications pile up. Then, I simply turned off my phone. I poured myself a drink, sank into the couch, and finally, I smiled. Because now, she knew what it felt like to be powerless. Now, she knew what real betrayal felt like. And for the first time in 3 months, I could finally breathe. I woke up the next morning to the sound of my phone buzzing nonstop. I already knew who it was. Her. The night before, after the party, I had turned off my phone and poured myself a drink, savoring my victory in silence. Now, as I checked my notifications, I found 47 missed calls and a flood of messages, texts, voicemails, desperate attempts to reach me. Please, just talk to me. I love you, I swear. It was a mistake. You can't do this to me. I have nothing left, please. I stared at the screen for a moment, letting the weight of my revenge settle in. She had thought she was untouchable. She had mocked me, betrayed me. And now? She was begging. I didn't respond. Instead, I got up, stretched, and ordered room service. Today, I would take my time. Today was about enjoying the aftermath. Her breakdown begins. By noon, I finally stepped out of my hotel suite and headed to the resort's lounge. I was halfway through my coffee when I saw her. She looked wrecked. Her once perfect makeup was smudged, her hair disheveled, eyes red and swollen from crying. She was frantically pacing the lobby, phone in hand, calling me again. She didn't see me at first. But then, her eyes landed on me. For a moment, she just stared, almost as if she couldn't believe I was real. Then, like a woman possessed, she ran toward me. Please, she gasped, stopping at my table. Please, just talk to me. I took a sip of my coffee, then slowly set the cup down, my expression blank. Talk about what? She looked like she might fall apart right there. You ruined me, she stammered. Everyone saw the video. My parents, my job, God, even my friends. I arched an eyebrow. Oh, you mean the video you sent me? The one where you laughed in my face. She flinched like I had slapped her. You have to help me, she whispered desperately. You've made your point, okay? But please don't let this be the end. I stared at her for a long moment. Then, finally, I spoke. This isn't the end, I said calmly. This is just the beginning, for you. Her lip trembled. I don't understand. I leaned forward slightly. I'm moving on, sweetheart. I'm done with you. But you, I smiled. You get to live with what you did. Every whisper, every stare, every time someone looks at you and sees nothing but a cheating, lying failure. That's your reality now. Tears welled up in her eyes. I can't. She shook her head, panicking. I have nowhere to go. You took everything. I tilted my head. You mean like how you took our bed and gave it to another man? She opened her mouth, but no words came out. Silence. That was all she had left. I stood up, towering over her. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a flight to catch. I grabbed my coffee and walked away, leaving her there, shaking, drowning in her own ruin. Her lover's betrayal. Later that evening, I got another unexpected message. But this time, it wasn't from her. It was from him. Her lover. I laughed. He was reaching out. Curious, I opened the message. Guess she didn't tell you the whole truth, huh? She was seeing more than just me. I was just the one stupid enough to stick around. My grin widened. Oh, this was priceless. I scrolled further. He had sent screenshots. More texts. Conversations between her and other men. So she wasn't just cheating on me with one guy. She had a whole damn lineup. This idiot actually thought he was special. He thought he had won her. Turns out, he was just another sucker. I typed out a quick response. She played you too, huh? Welcome to the club. He replied almost instantly. Screw her. I just figured you'd want to know. She's alone now. Everyone's dropped her. I leaned back in my chair, laughing. It was almost too perfect. She hadn't just lost me. She had lost everyone. And now, she was truly, utterly alone. The final attempt. The next day, I was at the airport, ready to leave this entire mess behind, when I saw her again. She was standing near security, looking completely lost. Her eyes were hollow, her shoulders slumped. She wasn't even dressed like her usual polished self anymore, just an oversized hoodie, hair in a messy bun, no makeup. She spotted me, and for a second, I thought she wouldn't come over. But she did. She walked up slowly, cautiously, as if afraid I might lash out at her. I didn't say anything. She took a deep breath. Her voice cracked. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I stayed silent. She swallowed hard. Not that it matters anymore. I know I don't deserve forgiveness. But she paused, looking down. I just wanted you to know that. I watched her carefully. She was genuinely broken. Not playing a game. Not manipulating. She had lost everything. And for the first time, I saw true regret in her eyes. But regret wasn't enough. You don't get to apologize now, I said quietly. You don't get to walk back the damage you caused. She nodded slowly. I know. I tilted my head, studying her. She had been so powerful 3 months ago. So arrogant. So untouchable. Now, she was nothing. And that was enough for me. Without another word, I grabbed my bag and walked away. She didn't call after me. She didn't beg anymore. She just stood there, watching as I disappeared into the crowd. That was the last time I ever saw her. Epilogue, moving on. Months passed. I rebuilt my life. I moved to a new city, got a new place, made new friends. I even started dating again, not because I needed someone, but because I wanted to. I had one. As for her, I never checked in on her. Never asked about her. I didn't need to. I already knew. She had lost her job, her friends, her reputation. She had no support, no safety net. She had laughed at me once. But now, the world was laughing at her. And that was enough closure for me. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. And in all that time, I never responded to her again. Her texts, her calls, I ignored them all. I had made my point. She had begged, pleaded, tried to appeal to whatever humanity she thought was left in me. But I had nothing left to give her. I had erased her from my life. And now, she was watching herself fade into nothing. Her reputation burns. The fallout from the anniversary party had been catastrophic for her. I knew because people wouldn't stop talking about it. My phone was filled with messages from mutual friends, all sharing the same reaction. Man, what the hell happened at that party? She looks awful. Have you seen her? Her job just let her go. They don't want the bad press. Bro, she lost everything. It turned out that her little work husband fantasy had cost her more than just our marriage. The executives at her company weren't thrilled about a scandalous affair involving one of their employees, especially not when it was exposed so publicly. She wasn't fired outright, but she was suddenly no longer a good fit for the company. She lost her job. She lost her financial security. And, more importantly, she lost the illusion of power she had held over me. Her lover abandons her. I hadn't checked in on him directly, but I didn't need to. Because one day, out of nowhere, I got a message. From him. Her lover. The man she had risked everything for. She's lost it, man. She won't stop calling me. I never signed up for this. I thought she had money. Thought she had her life together. She's a complete mess. I don't know what to do. I almost laughed. What had he expected? That their little fantasy world, where they mocked me, humiliated me, would last forever? Now that she had nothing, he had no use for her. And just like that, he vanished. Blocked her. Moved on. She had betrayed me for him. And now? She was alone. The last desperate attempt. 3 months after the party, I received one final message from her. Not a call. Not a voicemail. Just a single text. Can we talk? That was it. Nothing else. No dramatics. No begging. Just a quiet, defeated question. I stared at it for a long time. Then, I deleted it. No response. No closure. Just nothing. Because that was exactly what she deserved. Her vanishing act. After that, she disappeared. She stopped calling. Stopped texting. Stopped existing. I never heard from her again. No one did. Some people said she moved away, trying to escape the shame of what she had done. Others said she was still in town, drifting between cheap apartments, struggling to find work. But I didn't care. Because her fate wasn't my concern anymore. She had made her choices. And I had made mine. I had moved on. She had disappeared. After months of chaos, the storm had finally settled. She was gone. Her texts had stopped. Her calls had faded into silence. And as far as I was concerned, she didn't exist anymore. But the funny thing about revenge? Even when you think it's over, there's always one last twist waiting in the dark. The vanishing act. It wasn't just that she had stopped calling me. She had disappeared completely. No one knew where she was. Mutual friends would bring her up from time to time, always with the same confused expression. Has anyone seen her? She just vanished. No job, no money, no apartment. She's just gone. And yet, no one really cared enough to look for her. She had burned too many bridges, lied to too many people. So when she disappeared, the world kept moving without her. I didn't think about her anymore. She was a ghost, fading into irrelevance. At least, that's what I thought. Until one night changed everything. The first call. It was a little past midnight when my phone lit up. The screen glowed in the darkness, buzzing against the nightstand. For a moment, I ignored it. But then, as I turned over, I saw the name. Her. A single, unexpected call after months of silence. I stared at the screen, my pulse steady, my mind already knowing the answer. I didn't answer. The phone rang and rang until it finally stopped. I sighed and placed it back down, assuming that was the end of it. But a few seconds later, it rang again. The 47 missed calls. I let it ring, and ring, and ring. She kept calling, over and over, as if her life depended on it. One call, then two, then 5, then 10. I watched, unmoving, as the notifications stacked up. By the time my phone finally went silent, there were 47 missed calls. 47. I had expected her to try one last time. But this was desperation. For the first time in months, I hesitated. Something was wrong. And for a fleeting second, a thought crossed my mind. What if something had happened to her? What if she was in danger? What if this wasn't about me at all? I shook my head. No, she wasn't my problem anymore. I had spent too long giving her the benefit of the doubt. I wasn't doing that again. I tossed my phone aside and closed my eyes, letting the silence settle in. By morning, I had already forgotten about her. The unexpected message. A few days later, I got a text. Not from her. From an unknown number. You need to see this. Attached was a link. A news article. I frowned, hesitant, but curiosity got the better of me. I clicked. And when the page loaded, I froze. Because staring back at me was her face. The headline that changed everything. Local woman reported missing. Family and friends concerned after sudden disappearance. Beneath the headline was a photo of her. My wife. The woman who had destroyed our marriage. The woman who had laughed in my face. And now? She was missing. Gone without a trace. I read the article twice, my mind struggling to process the reality of it. According to the report, she had been seen leaving a cheap motel a week ago. That was the last time anyone had spotted her. Since then, nothing. No credit card transactions. No phone activity. Just silence. And then it hit me. The 47 missed calls. She had been trying to reach me right before she vanished. Why? What had she been trying to tell me? A chill ran down my spine. For the first time, I felt something I hadn't expected. Unease. Digging for answers. I knew I shouldn't care. But something about the way she disappeared bothered me. So, against my better judgment, I started asking questions. I reached out to a few people. Former friends, co-workers, anyone who might have known where she had been staying. The answers were vague. I think she was staying with a friend, but I don't know who. Last time I saw her, she was at that motel on 8th Street. She looked bad, man. Like she wasn't sleeping. She kept saying she was scared, but she wouldn't say why. That last one stuck with me. She was scared? Of what? The security footage. I finally managed to get a hold of someone who worked at the motel. After some convincing and a little cash, I got access to the security footage from the night she disappeared. What I saw? It made my stomach turn. The footage showed her leaving the motel. But she wasn't alone. She was running, looking over her shoulder, terrified. And then, just as she stepped out onto the street, she vanished from the frame. Gone. No struggle. No sign of a fight. Just gone. Like she had been erased from existence. The last clue. I replayed the footage again and again, trying to make sense of it. And then, I noticed something. Right before she disappeared, right as she turned the corner, she pulled out her phone. And she called someone. I already knew who. Me. Those 47 missed calls. She had made them while she was running for her life. And I had ignored them all. The unsettling truth. I should have let it go. But I couldn't. Something about this wasn't right. And deep down I knew. She had tried to warn me. About what? I didn't know. But whatever it was, it had been enough to make her disappear. And now? Now, I was left wondering if I was next. I stared at the security footage again, watching the moment she vanished. 1 second, she was there. The next, gone. No struggle. No attacker in sight. Just a woman running for her life, calling me over and over. And I had ignored every call. Something was wrong. And now, for the first time in months, I had to ask myself a question I never thought I would. Had I made a mistake? Retracing her steps. The police weren't taking her disappearance seriously. The moment they saw the cheating scandal in the news, they assumed the same thing everyone else did. That she had run away. That she was hiding from the shame, the humiliation, the fallout. I wanted to believe that too. I wanted to walk away. To tell myself that this was her problem, not mine. But something about those 47 missed calls, the way she was running in the footage, the panic in her last voicemail, I couldn't ignore it. Not anymore. So I did the only thing left to do. I started looking for her myself. The motel room. I went to the last place she had stayed, the rundown motel on 8th Street. The clerk recognized me immediately. Her ex-husband, right? He shook his head. Man, she was a mess when she was here. What do you mean? I asked, trying to keep my voice even. She was paranoid, he said. Kept checking the window. Always looking over her shoulder. Told me she thought someone was following her. I felt a chill creep up my spine. Did she ever say who? He shrugged. No idea. But she was terrified, man. She barely left the room except to get food. And then, one night, he hesitated. She ran out. Left everything behind. Everything. He nodded. Room still untouched, if you want to see it. I didn't hesitate. Show me. The forgotten phone. The motel room smelled like stale air and regret. The bed was unmade. Clothes were scattered across the floor. A half-eaten sandwich sat untouched on the nightstand. And then, on the desk, I saw her phone. Still plugged into the charger. Still powered on. I picked it up slowly, my pulse hammering. She had left her lifeline behind. Which meant whatever had scared her that night. She hadn't planned on coming back. The last messages. I unlocked the phone and scrolled through her texts. Most were left unanswered. People had reached out, offering sympathy, curiosity, even mockery. But she had barely responded to any of them. Except for one conversation. With a contact labeled unknown. The texts were short. Unknown, you need to come see me. We have to talk. Her, no. Leave me alone. Unknown, it's about him. You don't understand. Her, I said no. Unknown, you think this is a game? You're in danger. He is too. Her, if you contact me again, I'm blocking you. That was the last message. Sent the night she disappeared. I gripped the phone tighter. Who the hell was unknown? And what did they mean by he is too? Who were they warning her about? The surveillance footage. I needed more answers. So I went back to the security footage. This time, I watched carefully. And that's when I saw it. A shadow. Right before she ran out of frame, a dark figure appeared in the distance. I rewound. Slowed it down. It wasn't clear. But it was there. Someone had been watching her. Waiting. And when she had run, they had followed. The phone call I shouldn't have made. I looked back at her phone, staring at the last message. The warning. You think this is a game? You're in danger. He is too. I didn't know why, but suddenly, I needed to call this number. I needed to hear their voice. So, against every instinct, I dialed. It rang once. Twice. Then, finally, someone picked up. But they didn't speak. Silence. I swallowed hard. Who is this? Nothing. Just breathing. Low, slow, deliberate. Then, a voice. You waited too long. I felt my blood run cold. Who are you? I demanded. A pause. Then, you should have answered the phone. Click. The line went dead. The realization. I sat there, the phone still pressed against my ear, my mind racing. You should have answered the phone. Was this about the 47 missed calls? Had she been calling me for help? Had she been trying to warn me about something? I looked at the security footage again. The shadowy figure. The way she had run like her life depended on it. And suddenly, I realized. This wasn't just about her anymore. Whoever had taken her, whoever had been watching her, they knew about me too. And I was next. The final warning. That night, as I sat in my apartment, replaying everything in my head, I heard something outside. A soft click. Like a door unlocking. Like someone was already inside. I turned slowly, my heart hammering in my chest. And in the dim light of my hallway, I saw it. A single object. Sitting perfectly placed in the center of my living room. Her phone. The one I had taken from the motel. The one that should have been in my pocket. The screen lit up. A message. From unknown. 3 words. Too late now. The moment I saw her phone, sitting in the middle of my living room, screen glowing with a message from unknown, I knew. I wasn't alone. I didn't move. Didn't breathe. Just listened. The soft hum of the refrigerator. The distant sound of a car passing outside. The creak of the wooden floor beneath my feet. And something else. Breathing. Not mine. Someone else's. Somewhere inside the apartment. I forced myself to turn my head, scanning the dimly lit space, searching for movement. Nothing. But I knew better. I wasn't imagining this. Someone had been here. Someone had left her phone. And whoever it was, they were watching me. The chase. I moved fast. Snatched up the phone. Grabbed my keys. I needed to get out. But the moment I reached the door, bang. A loud noise from the hallway. Heavy footsteps. I hesitated for half a second. Then I ran. Not through the front door. That was a trap. They were waiting. Instead, I bolted toward the fire escape, yanking the window open. The cold night air hit me like a slap, but I didn't stop. I climbed out, nearly slipping on the metal railing as I hurried down the stairs, my mind racing. Who was after me? What did they want? And, most importantly, what the hell had my wife gotten herself into? The meeting. I didn't stop running until I was far from my apartment, my breath coming in ragged gasps. Only then did I check the phone. The screen was still lit with that single message. Too late now. My fingers tightened around the device. I scrolled through the messages again, looked for anything I had missed. And then, I saw it. A pin location. An address. Sent by unknown. I stared at it, my gut twisting. This could be a trap. No, this was a trap. But I had no choice. I had to know. I had to see what was waiting for me. The broken woman. The address led me to an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of the city. I parked a block away and approached on foot, keeping to the shadows. The building loomed ahead, rusted metal and shattered windows giving it a haunted look. I forced myself forward, my footsteps echoing in the empty space as I stepped inside. And that's when I saw her. My wife. Or at least, what was left of her. She was sitting on the cold concrete floor, arms wrapped around her knees. Her once perfect hair was tangled. Her clothes were dirty, torn in places. Her lips were cracked, and her eyes were empty. She looked up at me slowly, almost as if she didn't recognize me. Then, in a voice barely above a whisper, "You shouldn't have come." The truth. I stared at her. I had spent months hating this woman, planning her downfall, watching her lose everything. And now here she was, a hollow shell of the person she used to be. And for the first time, I didn't feel anger. I felt fear, because something had broken her. And whatever it was coming for me too. "What happened to you?" I asked. She shook her head, eyes darting to the shadows. "They found me," she whispered. "And now, they found you too." A chill crawled up my spine. "Who?" I demanded. "Who's after you?" She squeezed her eyes shut, rocking slightly. I didn't know what I was doing. I thought it was just a game. A joke. I knelt in front of her, gripping her shoulders. "What did you do?" Her breathing was ragged now, her body trembling. "I didn't cheat on you because I loved him," she said suddenly. "I did it because they told me to." I froze. "What?" She laughed. A horrible, broken sound. "They said it would be fun. That you deserved it. That it would make everything better." Her hands clenched into fists. But they lied. I was shaking now. None of this made sense. "You're not making any sense," I said. "Who are they?" She opened her mouth. But before she could answer, something moved in the shadows. I spun around. The hairs on my neck stood up. There was someone else here. The end of the game. A voice, low, calm, amused, echoed through the warehouse. "You always were slow to catch on." A figure stepped forward. And as soon as I saw his face, everything clicked. Her lover. The man she had thrown our marriage away for. The man I had destroyed. But he didn't look like a man who had lost everything. No, he looked like a man who had been waiting for this moment. I tensed. "You," I said coldly. "You did this to her." He smirked. "She did this to herself." I didn't have time for games. "What do you want?" He tilted his head. "Want? Oh, my friend, this was never about what I wanted." He gestured toward my wife. It was about what she wanted. I glanced at her. She was staring at the floor, tears slipping down her face. "Tell him," the man urged. "Tell him what you did." She let out a broken sob. "I thought they would help me," she choked out. "I thought." She shook her head violently. But I was wrong. I took a step back. What the hell are you talking about? The man smiled. You're smart, aren't you? You put all the pieces together. But you missed something. He leaned in. You thought this was just about revenge. He chuckled. But it was never about you. I clenched my fists. Then what was it about? His smile widened. It was about making her pay. A sharp intake of breath. I turned to look at her, but she was already gone. Running. I moved to chase after her, but he grabbed my arm. Don't bother, he said. She was dead the moment she betrayed us. Us? I echoed. He grinned. And then, softly, you should have answered the phone. A chill ran through me. Then, without another word, he disappeared into the darkness, leaving me standing there, staring after the woman who had once been my wife. The woman I had spent months destroying. And now, she was the one running for her life. The final choice. I had two choices. I could leave, walk away, let her face whatever was coming for her. Or, I could chase her, help her, save the woman who had once destroyed me. I stood frozen, my heart pounding. Then, finally, I made my choice, and ran after her,